MBCI Television, transforming lives.
For joining us. You are watching the Mid-Morning Pack right here on your favorite channel, MBCI TV. And of course, this is your weekly show every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12 noon, where we bring you weighty matters happening across all 47 counties in the society, and of course, even in the country at large, as we also try to make sense and bring some analysis and find out what are some of the possible solutions to the issues that we are looking into. And of course, today we've prepared for you a very interesting and robust conversation on an event that happened yesterday at State House, Nairobi. You can look forward for that. But of course, as we always do it, I have my colleague on the other side, Bwana Paul Kagi. A very good morning to you, my brother.
Yes, how are you, Mangicho? How has been your week so far?
Fine, thank you. Hoping that you're having a great time during this new month of August.
Yes, I'm very well. I thank God for everything. And dear viewer, welcome to this weekly program, the Mid-Morning Pack, a place where we are going to give deep analysis of various matters. Once again, my name is Paul Kagi. Welcome about.
Wow, that is very interesting. And of course, the topic that I've promised you, or we've promised you today, that we're going to look into, we want to discuss yesterday's event, and that is President Ruto's Riot Act to incompetent state officials. President Ruto's Riot Act to incompetent state officials. That is our topic for today. We want to look into this particular matter in details. And of course, we have a we've put for you. We also want you to interact with us during the show or during the program. And the question that we are asking you, should incompetent state officials be fired? Should incompetent state officials be fired? What do you think? Okay. If you propose or if you support that they should be fired, tell us why you think they should be fired. If you think they shouldn't be fired, tell us also why you think they should not be fired. And of course, you know the drill. You can catch us on our social media platforms. Of course, for the Facebook viewers, you can catch us live on our Facebook page, that is MBCI TV. And of course, again, on YouTube, that is MBCI TV Official. You can also join us there. Or you can be free to give us your response on our shortcut platform, that is 23814, 23814. We'd be glad to also find out what are some of your perspectives on this particular matter. Later on, we shall be joined by a guest, a political analyst, and also a governance analyst, that is Ben Masharia. He will be here also to give us his perspectives and what he thinks about this particular topic for today. You can expect a very robust discussion on that. But of course, as we always do, quite other interesting issues are taking place across this particular 1 week. Kagi.
All right, Mangicho, thank you so very much for that introduction. And we are going to bring some analysis on three major issues that have been happening for the last 1 week.
Right.
And one of the major issues that has been there this week is the development of truce between the president and the Azimio leader, Raila Odinga, or to speak more about Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, whereby the two groups have come into an agreement of a talk. And this talk is going to be steered by the former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, who is in the country to be able to bring the two teams together. Mm-hmm. The last time that these teams tried to come together was when they brought what they call the bipartisan talks, which didn't bear much fruit.
Right.
But we believe with the involvement of an outsider, this guy, we believe that the two teams, the Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio, are going to come to table and maybe bring together issues that are dividing them and also that are dividing our country. Mm-hmm. And so far so good, because we have been experiencing some unrest in our country through Maandamano. And for this development whereby these two leaders met, the president admitted himself that he met Raila Odinga and they agreed on continuing with the talks. Azimio side has moved very fast, and they have their 5-member committee, which will be led by the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. Okay. And the Kenya Kwanza team is yet to bring together its team. And we are waiting to see who are these guys who are going to being brought together by the Kenya Kwanza. Mangecho, if you could remember the time they had the bipartisan talks,
yes,
there was one weakness that I saw, whereby the Kenya Kwanza team didn't really source a strong team to be able to negotiate what was on the table as compared to the Azimio. I am really hopeful this time around they are going to bring on board a high-ranking team which is going to be very, very effective in the March-precedented talk.
Absolutely, Kagi. That is one area, of course, that will continue to elicit mixed reactions across the country. So many Kenyans are really expectant of these particular talks, even as other Kenyans are also jittery about the same. Because remember initially, we had the Azimio Brigade. When they actually started the issue of Mandamano, there were quite a number of items that they wanted resolved. Remember the issue of opening of the servers?
Yes.
The reconstitution of the IBC and the meddling of the government in the opposition affairs and other political parties. That was also an issue. But then later on, it is said that they narrowed it down to one major thing that they decided to run with, and that is the issue of cost of living. But apparently, again, it's like now people are saying this issue of cost of living is not again in the agenda that is actually going to be looked into by these two particular teams. And therefore, maybe most Kenyans will actually wonder, because when it comes to the issue of cost of living, I think this is one of the things that most Kenyans, virtually all Kenyans, and maybe even you can actually say Kenyans from across the political divide, those maybe who are supporting Kenya Kwanza, and also those maybe who are supporting Azimio, all Kenyans have been in agreement that the issue of cost of living actually needs to be looked into. Nevertheless, I think it's a great move. We've seen the effects, very negative, very horrible effects of the protests that have taken place in the country, especially during this particular recent protest. We've seen families crying foul. We've seen the police officers actually coming under very, very harsh attacks for apparently or allegedly just maiming people and killing people who had actually not even participated in the protest. So I think the stopping of the halting of this particular protest, the coming to an end of the protest, is a very, very important step. And also even now the talks that will actually now be started and established between these particular sites, I think will really help in actually giving us the direction that we really need to look into. But then the question is, just like you've put it, do we have political goodwill even as we get into the talks?
Yes. And Mangicho, there's one matter that I think has been can be identified, whereby the two teams really is handling the other party with a lot of suspicion. You know, if you listen to the Kenya Kwanza, Akina Ishungwa, they are saying that the issue of cost of living is not going to feature in the talks. Okay. And also, if you listen to Azimio, they are also saying that they are ready to be able to adhere to any of the conditions that is going to be laid down by the other party. Right. I think one of the things that Kenya Kwanza are very sensitive about is the issue of the handshake. They are really, really not ready for a handshake. But if they are going to talk and bring our country in order, I think that is the beautiful thing that our country is looking forward to. Of course,
I think that's a very important point, Kagi, because most Kenyans have been wondering, is it really true that maybe the side of Azimio are going into these particular talks with their own interests, selfish motives, or are they really looking towards the good of the entire country? Now, if they are not going maybe to discuss the issue of cost of living, and of course, according to reports, is that the government argued that it has already put up some measures, some mechanisms to look into the issue of cost of living. But again, we know Azimio was opposed to some of the mechanisms that the Kenya Kwanza side has already put. So this now puts them in a very, very awkward position, because now if they're not going actually to talk, and remember, even coming to the issue of the finance bill, now the Finance Act, because it had already been passed, and actually even the Court of Appeal also endorsed the same, but of course we are waiting for the other, for the ruling that was established by the three-judge bench that was established by the Chief Justice, that is Martha Koome. We are waiting for the ruling on that particular act. But I think now we really have to be given, and maybe what Kenyans need to know and find out is exactly what these talks are all about. Is it the opposition members finding themselves in government? Is it the issues that are really affecting Kenyans? And how will the process be like? What are some of the issues that need to be put into consideration? So we wish Olusegun Obasanjo
all the best. It's not new in Kenya. You remember during the post-election violence, he was one of the people who were invited here to help us to broker a deal between the Kibaki's team and Raila's team. So he's not a very new person to us. And Azimio is very keen on timeline. Remember during the bipartisan talk, they had projected for a 30 days talks, which has really come again this time around, and they are proposing that any talk that is going to be held between them and the government should take not more than 30 days.
Well.
Yeah. Now, you can move on to another matter, Mangicho, which is very, very key to our nation, the education sector.
Yes.
And we are aware that yesterday the President received a report from the Presidential Working on Education Reforms, which is meant to be able to stabilize the system of education in Kenya, especially after we shifted from the popular 844 system to the so-called the CBC system or the 62333 system. And the President himself said, I am going to lead the team to implement these education reforms.
Right.
And some of the things that were yesterday brought on board by this Education Reforms Committee, some of them are very radical. They need bold steps. And one of the items that I really pointed out, which was very, very key, is that the Teacher Service Commission was denied the massive power it has been enjoying for many years.
Okay.
You know, TSC has been operating like, I don't know, like a very, very independent and strong department, which is as if it was running parallel with the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
It had powers to hire teachers, to demote teachers, to be able to transfer teachers, to train teachers, and many other things. And there are three areas where the Ministry of Education, through the reforms, were given more powers as compared to TSC. One of them was the quality assurance function, which was being held by the TSC. Number two, the training of teachers has been taken back to the ministry as it was there before. And also TSC will be consulting Ministry of Education before taking action on teachers' management in the issue of transfer, maybe discipline. They have to consult the Ministry of Education. You know, but the CBC program, which has been running for the last, I think, 1 year, is going to remain. Okay. It's going to be implemented. And the other things like the revise of the capitation, they are raising the money, the fresh teachers training. Any teacher who has been trained 2023 going backward will go for a 1-year training. Okay. To be able to familiarize with what is happening in the Ministry of Education. And therefore, we are looking forward to see how this is going to be implemented. And there's one interesting area, Mangicho, which I think you're very familiar with.
Yes.
Remember the issue of before you went to university, you had to go through the NYS?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's as if it is coming back, but in a different way. Anybody who finalizes his tertiary institution we have to go for, I think, 9 months of community service. Okay? Even after the high school, the junior high school, before you go to the tertiary institution there, you have to go to a community service program for 3 months.
Sure.
And it is going to be mandatory, and you have to get a certification before you move to the next level in your academic.
Wow, and I think that is... it is actually a detailed report there, detailed recommendation that has been given by that particular task force that was actually started or established rather by President William Ruto. And it's going to make it's like a paradigm shift, Kagi, for that particular matter in the education sector. And I think most of the stakeholders will now be looking into that particular recommendation, all those reforms. And apparently, the president has actually said that he's going to implement every bit of the recommendations that have actually been given by that particular task force. Of course, we know that education is a key sector in the economy and also even in the prosperity of a country.
Yeah.
And therefore, we want to believe that that particular task force gave all the best so that at least we can be able to see education actually being very key and being very fruitful for the entire country, because we know when the issues of education are actually looked into, because I know there are a lot of things. And of course, this particular task force has looked into education from the very, very bottom level, that is the pre-primary, up to university level. So it's a whole, it's like an overhaul of this particular entire sector.
Yes, and there's one sector which is really negatively affected, the university reforms, because they are part of these reforms, whereby you knew the universities, they have been offering certificates, diploma, and degrees in their institutions.
Right.
But according to the new reforms and the proposed changes, the universities are no longer going to be allowed to offer certificates and diplomas in the institutions. They are going to strictly offer degrees. And you know, the highest number of academicians in our universities are the certificates and diploma holders.
Yes.
So I don't know how they are going to handle this, because there is a lot of infrastructure to be able to handle the influx of diploma and certificate students in our universities. And it's going to be a plus for even institutions which are struggling to get students. Yeah, because if they are not going to the universities, definitely they are going to shift to where? The TVET institutions.
Yeah, actually, I remember when this particular recommendation was first of all brought to the public limelight, there was quite a lot of debate, and there has been questions even as to why maybe universities decided, apart from maybe focusing on their degree marks and also doctorate programs, where they decided also maybe to look into or to actually offer some of these other programs like diploma and also certificate. There are those who argue that some of these tertiary institutions that are available in the country, they are best suited, they are best placed to offer some of these diploma programs, talking about infrastructure. And even the element of actually universities wanting to cash in more in terms of monetary resources was also brought on board, that universities knew very well that if they opened up the platform to also offer diploma courses and other certificate courses, they'd also get a lot of money. But there has also been the element of most people arguing that some of the students that have been actually graduating from the university with these particular diploma courses, when they get into the industry, they don't perform well compared to those who have also graduated or their peers who have graduated from tertiary institutions. So I think this is something that maybe the task force really looked into, and maybe from the kind of information that they gave, that is why they came up with such a drastic decision.
Yes, and finally there's one more key area that I want to mention, Mangicho, which is a bit interesting, and I think I'm feeling good about it.
Right.
You know, we have two technical colleges that were promoted to become universities. We have the Technical University of Kenya, I think formerly the Kenya Polytechnic, is now the Technical University of Kenya, and Technical University of Mombasa, which were elevated during Kenyatta's regime as chartered as public universities. Now this one has been redone, and the government and the reforms committee feels that these technical colleges need to maintain that line, whereby if you have been trained in a technical line, you can only go to a university which is in line with technical issues. And therefore, the proposal is the Technical University of Kenya and the Technical University of Mombasa to be rechartered. Therefore, they are going to lose their university cadre status to what they are calling providing technical training, to remain as only technical universities. You get that one? I think that's a good reform.
Absolutely, that is a very good reform. And I've also remembered one more thing, maybe before we bring this particular aspect to a close. There is also the issue of they're saying after there is this department or this organization called KUCCPS, the one that is in charge of actually placing students into universities and also diploma, those who have done KCSE. But apparently, according to reports, is that almost 600,000 students can actually not be accounted for. So that basically means they cannot be traced from the university, so they didn't apply for courses in the university level, they didn't apply for courses at diploma level, and so maybe Kenyans are wondering what decision could have led to that, or maybe what other option did they have?
I think there was a little bit laxity in terms of sensitizing our pupils in schools and parents about this department. Many are not aware of how it is operating. I think the ministry needs to relook at that to make sure that these CUSPs really comes up and to sensitize public on how they operate. And yesterday there was a story of a student who had acquired, I think, an A, that means he qualifies to be in a university, but he was placed in a TVET institution.
Right.
So it shows a little bit of laxity in some areas, but so far so good.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Now, at this particular point, we can also now bring on board our guest for today's discussion. Is a political analyst and also a governance expert. That is Ben Mashari. It's good to have you. Good morning na karibu sana to the Mid-Morning Park.
Asante sana Bwana Mwangicho,
Yes.
for having me in the show.
It's been a while. What have you been up to?
We have been up to, there has been a lot of development in the country.
Right.
You know, like even at the county levels, we have been engaging on public participation, on matters even to do a lot of advocacy on what is actually the Finance Act.
And you're talking about the county level. This time we are told all counties are moneyed. So are we seeing developments rolling?
Yeah, we are very happy because what the president committed, he has been able to do it.
Right.
Because initially when the governors have been going there have been delayed disbursement of funds. Like you remember the last time I was here talking about in 93 billion, which was being asked from the exchequer, which means that the president had to devise ways, look into ways, what is this causing this bureaucracy and all that. That's what the government has been trying to fix. And that's why even you see for the first time now the monies are coming in time. Because initially disbursement have come late into the financial year. We are given about 3 weeks to absorb billions of money. That means that as capacity at the county level, we cannot be able to do that.
Although there is the issue of recurring expenditure and other expenses that most of the county officials, including the governors, have been crying for, that has been major impediment into maybe doing and executing some of the development programs.
You see, like in a country, even if I give you 1 billion, but the recurrent expenditure is not provided for, actually you should provide the recurrent so that you can have the working and the environment where you can operate, so that at the end of the day you can have projects rolling. But once the recurrent is not there, even fuel, even for you to be able to sensitize communities before even certain project starts, you cannot be able to do that. And again, moving up and down, there are services which actually don't require capital for development. They just require officers to be facilitated to be able to move around the counties, to be able to meet with the Wanjiko and Akinyi, so that they can be able to give programs for the governor. So when they are stifled out of those funds, sometimes you find they are placed in a position where they cannot be able to operate as county executives, and so on. They cannot even reach 1 inch. So both recurrent and expenditure go hand in hand. Yes.
What is your take also on the issue of the current governors continuing some of the development programs that had been initiated by their predecessors, who are not maybe in a position to come back or didn't manage to come back to?
Actually, as Friends of Revolution, we have been actually advocating for continuity, because we believe even the first county government of 2013 to 2017, it was a county government. So the priority programs were planned using public resources. We expected that the second county governors could have just picked from there, then they continue rolling the projects so that they implement and they're able to absorb, because the same Wanjiko who was there in 2013, 2017, is the same Wanjiko who will be there. But these governors, they did a mistake. They started reprioritizing some of the projects. They started saying these projects belong to the first governor. Then they shed them out. Now you ask yourself, who are these Wanjikos who are there during the first administration?
Yes, and as you speak about that, maybe I'm wondering, because as Friends of Devolution,
yes,
don't we have a policy that guides this kind of development in our country?
We have actually been able to engage the Council of Governors in terms of continuity and even the control of budget, by saying that you, as the control of budget, you must look at the CIDP.
Yeah.
The CIDP is the 5-year plan. Again, also you look at the annual development plans, which are derived from the CIDP, and then the budget is presented for approval. So that even as a control of budget, you can say, Nakuru County, for example, they had this number of programs they wanted implemented. But now again, another governor is coming, presenting a new one. Actually, they were told not to approve not to re-strategize again, so that they make sure they approve, first of all, the plans that were there, so that once we have exhausted them, then you can be given an opportunity, even yourself as a new governor, also continue replanning. Yeah. That's why you hear some of these governors, when they went, they took some budgets there, and they were returned. They were not funded the money, because they were told, according to the CIDP, the annual development plan, the priorities now, and now the budgets, there is a very big deficiency where we are not able to relate what you are presenting and what the people said they wanted like 5 years.
That means there's a problem between the county government and even the control budget, because if there is that policy which is being laid down and the governors are acting rogue in that area, that means the control of budget has a problem, because the ones who are supposed to make a follow-up before even releasing new monies.
Actually, counties have become rogue in such a way that governors are saying they do what we call supplementary budgets. Supplementary budgets are simply interference.
With the main budget.
With the main budget. Actually, they come, if I was the governor and you are the new one, you come and say, that was Mangicho's, that is Masharia's budget. Now you start again bringing a supplementary budget. You're saying, when my budget passes, it's now become personalized. And that's why they have actually hindered the development, because the overall effect of this is the lateness implementation of projects. Okay. That's why you see some counties are left to deal with rollovers instead of current planning. Like you will see some of the programs being planned this year, they will be achieved next year but one.
But Bwana Masharia, now that you're also an expert in coming from the Friends of Devolution perspective, even as we talk about some of these governors continuing the development programs that had been initiated by their predecessors, but is there a way, especially now looking into consideration or considering that maybe like the current government is keen to ensure that the money that is allocated for devolution in the counties is actually channeled on time? Is there a possibility of ensuring that whatever it is that a county government wants to do within a period of 5 years is actually concluded?
Actually, that is why you even hear the president on releasing the money, even yesterday's on performing contracts we go there, he has said what we are now dealing with are issues of absorption. Absorption is that you're given money but you are unable to use that money, which means that your priority changes once the funds are available. And that is what the national government has been dealing with. So that governors go there to complain, but when they are given money, they start doing other things which are not in the project. And that is what we call misappropriation. Okay. Because misappropriation is not just stealing funds, right, but is you have actually asked for construction of a health center, but in the end you start building a road leading to your house. What does that actually mean? That means you are misallocating the money. So what actually the president has actually said is that the same people of Kenya being planned by the president are the same people the governors are planning for. So the national government has a responsibility to make sure that money is sent to the counties. And actually that's why the president said, we will give you money in time. So that these excuses of late disbursement and so on and the reallocation and all that will not actually appear. And I'm quite sure the next moment the president addresses the governors, he will tell them nothing but the truth. Because most of them are doing things that we never agreed. You come and realize they are hosting individuals here, left, right, and center, and these things are never planned in budgets. Okay. So you come and realize in the recurrent expenditure, somebody is using 800 million, which for us as Nakuru, for example, maybe as residents of these counties, we have not planned for. So what we are saying is that even the national government, in disbursing the money to the counties, the president has given them on time. They must also put mechanism, government agencies to go and check that money. Is it being really utilized? Or again, we are now having persons enriching themselves, people now behaving like they are private companies. You go to an officer here, you find that they behave like those are personal offices. And these are public spaces. They are just there to be able to serve us. So as a county, when counties came, we had expectation that actually like the Nakuru, for example, received 13 billion. We expect this 13 billion, once they are paid their salary, the development agenda should actually be seamless. that all the 55 wards should receive equal development, and we see rolling out in all the counties.
But Mashari, I'm being told we can take a short break at this particular point, but we'll pick up from there because it also relates to the issue of competency and incompetency that we want to discuss in details. You are watching the Mid-Morning Pack right here on MBCI TV. Let us take that short breather as we prepare to come back with much more. Don't go far away.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
A fire is about to erupt. A new generation is rising because something big is about to happen. Apostle Julius Subi invites you to the Heavens Fire Prayer Summit.
Generate supernatural power as you feed it the word of God.
The summit will be held at the Nyayo National Stadium from the 1st to the 6th of August 2023. A new wave of the supernatural is hitting the city of Nairobi, Kenya. Guest ministers, Prophetess Cindy Jacobs from the USA
says you are going to be one of the first nations.
Pastor Robert Kayanja, Uganda. Apostle John Kemani William, Kenya.
Kama Mungu amenena atatimiza.
Bishop Harrison Keinganga from Kenya.
Biguni ni bali na biguni inasemekana si kubwa.
Prophetess Francina Norman from the USA.
We step into a new era of glory.
Remember, the dates are from 1st to the 6th of August 2023 at the Nyayo Stadium. This is an annual convergence of God's army. For more information, call the number on your screen, 0757 223233.
Welcome to Shirdi Trading Stores Nakuru, the hardware that delivers high quality products.
Kwa majina naitwa Pastor Wilson. Shirdi ametusaidia sana katika kazi hii ya jua kali. Material yake ni material ambayo imeweza kutuletea customer, imepata kuinua biashara yetu. Ni durable katika kazi tunayofanya. Chuma kama ni 2x2 imejaa vizuri, na katika kufanya kazi nayo ni asitoboki. So yoyote ambaye ametamani chuma nzuri na kazi nzuri ambayo itatamanika na watu wengi, mwindi wetu ambaye anaitwa Shirit ako na haya material. Material yake ni nzuri, bei yake ni nzuri, na customer watatamani kazi yako.
Our main distribution center and godown is located in Nakuru Industrial Area, opposite Kenya Power Depot, with a branch located at Nakuru Eldoret Highway, Shabab Roundabout, opposite Total Petrol Station. For more information, call us on 0701 600 101 or 0711 600 101 or 0735 600 1.
Kilimo ni uti wa mgongo katika uchumi wa kitaifa. Akili Shambani inakufunza mbinu mbalimbali za kilimo cha mimea na ufugaji. Tunavuka milima na mabonde kukuelimisha mengi kuhusu ubunifu na teknolojia katika kilimo. Yote 9, 10 ni masoko. Nayo je?
Tunahusika na mkulima kutoka kwa shamba hadi sokoni.
Fahamu haya na mengine mengi kuhusu kilimo kwenye Akili Shambani kila Jumatano saa 1:30 usiku, ukiletewa nami Enaeli Mlinga.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
You're welcome back, and you're still watching the Mid-Morning Pack, of course, your Wednesday show. Today we are looking at this particular topic, and now we want to delve into it. Of course, what we had also even begun by looking at, and now we'll also touch on it, and that is the President's Riot Act to Incompetent State Officials. President Ruto's Riot Act to Incompetent State Officials. And of course, we've asked you a question, and we'll still expect to see some of your perspectives on the same. And that is, do you think, or should incompetent state officials be fired? What are some of your thoughts on this? Do you think those who are incompetent, okay, in government ministries and government agencies, and they have actually shown that they are not competent to serve in those particular organizations, do you think it is the right time, or it is time for them to be shown the door? You can continue giving us your perspectives. You're catching us live on our Facebook page. For those who are watching via the social media platforms, we have our Facebook page, that is MBCI TV, and also on our YouTube page, that is MBCI TV Official. And for those who are interested in the shortcut platform, that is 23814, we'd be glad to see what are some of your perspectives on the same. And let's get into this particular topic, or rather subject, Bwana Macharia. And of course, this is something that maybe caught so many Kenyans yesterday unawares. Kenyans seeing the president, what we can actually put, maybe quote into quotes, in his true colors. But maybe a quick one. Do you think it should actually shock the president that some of his state officials are clueless?
Actually, you know, like as a president, when you appoint someone, even today when you are nominated for a position of a cabinet secretary, for example, labor, the first thing you do as a person is to do what we call a research. What does the department does? What are the programs being implemented? How are they implemented? And then as a person, even not even having been given the job already, okay, you also have some internal information. So that by the time even you're going to the interview panel, you can be able to answer. Because, like, for example, you cannot go to talk about trade and you ask, do you know of any international agreement trade? And you say, I don't know. And you are going to be the cabinet secretary. That is being a failure. So even the president himself, to a large extent, that's why you see when he appointed these people, he thought that these people will be very active, going even to do research. Even sometimes they just bring information. But maybe to his own surprise, he noted that some of these people are clueless. They don't even understand his manifesto. They were just given jobs from high-end areas. And now they're
but really, what is the problem? Because would you really doubt maybe the academic, or it doesn't really necessarily mean that they have to be good academically, or is it a matter of just being disinterested? Where exactly is the problem?
I think for the longest time, what we have seen in our country, you have seen, for example, Kagi. Kagi is a doctor, is a veterinarian. And then we take Kagi from being a veterinarian, we bring him to the Ministry of Education to talk about matters of education. This Kagi could have actually done well if he's given the Department of, for example, veterinary services within the government, because he understands, that's where he is going to school, that is where he has gained vast experience. And you hear, maybe he has been a veterinary for maybe 30 years. So we expect Kagi, once he sits in a board of directors, he can actually give the priority areas and say, this is what we need to do. But these issues of mixing, you bring somebody just because they are political friends, they are relatives, they are people who have assisted you politically. You give them opportunities to work in departments. Most of them have had this attitude that now, Rais Ananiamini, now it is me to just be there, leave the juniors to operate, let them do what they want, but during political maybe answers, I can somehow try. That's why they don't even bother to read what is happening. Some of them even, they don't know even their mission of their departments. You will be surprised. Even at the county levels, we have CECs who know nothing. They don't, even when you call them and tell them, oh, Madam Waziri or Bwana Waziri, can we ask about fly control? And he's a Minister of Agriculture. And I don't even know anything. Let me go to the department and talk there. So the president, most of these people are disinterested, and they have just gotten into the culture. But now we are happy when now the president is now calling them out.
But Bwana Macharia, maybe before Kagi comes in, that again takes us to the debate, because I remember Kagi, even in this particular program, we've ever talked about the issue of the cabinet secretaries, whether they are supposed to be politicians as opposed to maybe to being technocrats. It's like we're going back to that particular debate, and I think there was a government whereby they tried, I don't know, maybe it's even actually the Uhuru government, they tried so much to ensure that the ministries are given to technocrats. But now, during this particular regime, most of those who are actually in the cabinet ministries, they are politicians. Do you think this particular issue is now affecting this particular conversation?
You know, initially, we used to have MP minister, tukua tunaita mawaziri, and they used to be MPs. MPs used to sit in parliament. They hear issues from across the country being discussed by their peers. Even then, they are MPs, but they are waziris. Yeah. So they coalesce the issues together, and then when they want to approach it at the cabinet level, they are able to give real-time experience about what is happening. But now we have CSs who don't even go to parliament. They don't follow even what they want to do. They don't understand the legislative agenda of the president. So this time around, we have to link legislation together with planning and also implementation. So that, for example, if we are in the land sector, you are in the CS land, we come to you, we tell you, we want to develop, for example, the Galana Kulal. But we cannot just go and invest money there without having the proper land use policy. So we go to CS Zachary, can you come up with a policy document that we can present to the cabinet, and then we take it to a parliament, so that once you are approved, the document is approved, we can now start implementing that kind of project. But we have been lacking that. Okay. So you are a very great person, you are a waziri, you call yourself waziri, but you don't understand what is going on in Mashinani, you don't understand the legislative agenda of your department, you don't even understand what the people are going through. That is why these CSs have been taken, you can see when they have been taken through parliament. They are asked questions and they are sweating there. Because for the first time, it is not the president to be asked for 3 hours about your own department of lands. Go there. Let Kagi MP for Bahati grill me. Let Mangicho grill me and ask me questions related to my department. And that is what we have actually been lacking, because people have always been a comfort zone, knowing that Rais atasema, Rais atarudisha, Rais ataambiwa. Now we must take responsibility as cabinet secretary, PSS, and also directors in our departments. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Macharia, I think there are 3 issues I want to raise here. Number one, don't you feel that the issue of incompetency among the CSs, the genesis of this problem is from the vetting process in our parliament, that if the parliament itself would have come up with a better formula to be able to vet these members, would have gotten the right people for the ministries, right? Number 2, personally, I feel that the president is overshadowing the CSs. I don't know. In a way that they are losing confidence in the operations. You see, when you have a more sharper boss than you shy away from the way you're operating your ministry.
The president is too smart for them.
Yeah, if the bar between them and the president is too high, the gap, I mean the gap between the CS and the president is too high, that they are unable to be able to strike the balance. Yes. That they lack the confidence to go and talk on behalf of their departments, which is the president is even more, as he was saying yesterday, is more knowledgeable than even the CSs. That's why they can't even come for an interview. The third one, I also feel the president should blame himself because he made wrong choices for the CSs. I think we have better people who can be able to run ministries better than these guys, some of them. We have had governments before, Moi's government, Kibaki's government, and even Uhuru's government. We had some CSs who did a super job. Don't you feel he made some bad choices?
No, let me begin first of all by starting with about incompetencies. Political appointments in our republic over and years has been all about political interest. It has been political pledges you are fulfilling by appointing Mangicho. If he's a Luya or he's a Taita, we have to make sure that we represent the region.
Correct.
And some of these people being appointed, they know very well. They come on tribal balancing. So issues of competence does not arise here or there. Like for example, let's even go to the counties. You find that you are so much well versed with matters of public participation. You understand how the county government works, how it operates, how it does this. But you can even come at the counties, you will see the people who are appointed in boards. That people who are very clueless, and they are going to talk about a budget for the entire county, and they have never even seen a budget for a single department, which means people are not being recruited on issues of competencies. That does not arise, and you should never wait for that.
So in other words, what we are saying, the things that we are put to see on television, Parliament, those committees taking us through those vetting exercises and vetting processes, they're just an exercise in futility. They're just for formality aspects.
For example,
isn't that
for example,
very detrimental?
The problem has been even the candidates who are presented for vetting. Did you saw even one failing?
Yeah.
When they are called, when we are watching, we can even make our own judgment and say this yes has failed in answering the questions. Yes. But on the sidelines of the parliament, the selection panel and vetting, there are talks and uyunimtu rais. So they are taken through. Again, like just you are saying.
Okay. So meaning, what would be the importance of that particular vetting?
No, the issue is we continue to bring them to the highest level. You know, even initially, we never used to have vetting in the country. Moi angeappoint mtu, wewe waziri unaappointiwa kwa barabara, and you are picked in the farm, na wewe ni waziri kwa.
Nasikia kwa taarifa ya sasa.
Ya kwa taarifa ya sasa, Macharia Ben ndio waziri wa education. Nachukuliwa nikiwa hata sokoni. Navalishwa nguo nikiwa kwaga, nikienda huko. Mimi ni waziri.
Siti zako zinakuja hapo.
But over time, because of accountability, things have actually changed, Mr. Kagi. That is why even at this particular time, the president himself, hata wakati unaangalia wale watu ambao wamepeanwa pale, hawa watu wanakuja hawakuwa naelewa. They used to take advantage that once you are appointed, you become a tribal appointee. That's why even some of these CSs, even wakati Ruto came in, he had to tell them, you are not a cabinet secretary for your community. You belong to the whole republic. Because most of them had this cocoon that nimeletwa, so they exhibit a level of incompetency. It is like a community seat. Yeah. But they fail to understand this is a country that they must serve. So where the president sits, you should never, Mr. Kagi, say, according to your point, that you are intimidated by your boss being smart. In fact, you should be smarter. When you see your boss wakes up at 6:30, wake up at 5:30. Why do we want to institutionalize failure by saying that, no, we start jobs at 8? No, sometimes some measures may require that we go an extra mile. Right. And that is why even this country, even when the president himself, the President Ruto has set a very high standard for even somebody to work with him. Yeah. You cannot go to Ruto and start telling him a lot of nothing. He will ask you questions and you run away. Because this is a person, by the time he's calling you, he has research on you. He has research on the department. So he's just coming to tell you, be smarter. So that when you go to the people, we can never be equal, by the way. We are simply different. Yeah. But people must now come to the realization. Hii waziri ambaye tunapatiwa saa hii, it is not the usual kangaroo waziri.
Okay. So, Bwana Macharia, if I'm getting you well, number one, whether these people were competent or not competent at the time of vetting, that may not have been a very, very major issue because the president had, after all, to reward some of his best loyalists. But now he is very, very disappointed that 1 year down the line, they have not helped him. So they don't have anybody to blame. It's like they were given a grace period. It is them that have not done
and that is why we want now him to crack the whip.
Okay.
We want him to crack the whip, not just only say, I've realized some of you simply know nothing. Let these contracts, even those who have signed, let them be terminated. Let's see some, not these reshuffles which used to be now and then. You see, we used to deal with this matter in a reshuffle manner. Yeah. Oh, waziri, badilisha, or rais badilisha. So that by the time we are reshuffling, we are not addressing the core issue. This person has been given a job, is not performing. We want the president to tell these waziris, go home. This Kenya has so many Kenyans. That's why the president is saying yesterday, wewe sio wewe peke yako waziri, sio wewe PS. Some of these people, they just wake up, they even enter offices at 10:30. They leave at 3:30. And you see, even members of the public have never even had an opportunity to go and meet them. So some of these people, they are just full of themselves. Now you have to understand, even in the future, when you get into government, it is not the usual business of just lying idle and waiting for the president to go to be castigated, either in public or anywhere else. Professionalism must be an example. And let me tell you, even though the president is now saying, maybe he may even reshuffle, but he may drop some people on the basis of what he's complaining. That is the best thing about when you complain as a president. You say, this person, I give him a performance contract. You see, like the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Musalia does not really talk very harsh.
Yes.
He's not a hard talker. But he's developing structures to be able to be used as guiding tools in departments. So that you also feel performance contract just like you're doing. So that you don't just go there, you start doing ABCD while you had actually promised to do up to Z. So this is the new Kenya. And even we're saying the president for the first time, you know, like there was this mystery created around the departments that mtu akichaguliwa waziri is like a demigod. So huyu mtu hapatikani, haongei, asemi chochote, and that is why we are very happy even with the frustration for the president. Let him see the people that he gave work are not performing. Not just only waziris, PSS and even director. There are people who works in the national government, but they are always in trips outside the country. You will never see them. That's why you see the DP Gachagua was saying, we have been wanting to hold cabinet meetings. We can't. 6 or 8 waziris are outside the country. Huyu ukiangalia, alikuwa ameenda kuangalia vile mayai inapikwa Mauritius. Now, what is that? Is that something you say you are using public money to go? That is why we want, if they are going to say no to these foreign trips, if they are going to say about competencies, let them even not just, we cannot, finally we can never base performance on education. There are people who are passionate about transforming the country. Even when they are given departments to perform, they don't have degrees or PhDs, but they know how things need to be fixed. Those are the people we want the president to identify. Just like Kagi is saying, we have had people previously who have done marvelous work. But because of political interest, sometimes they are overshadowed by those kind of things. But we have those people who are best performers.
Yeah, and Macharia, I think the frustration by the president yesterday opened, I think, a lead of what is happening behind the scene in the cabinet or the executive. One of the things I could point out is the issue of some CSs not knowing their boundaries. Yes. And it seems many of them don't know even their roles as CS, how to be able to integrate between this ministry and this ministry. And we have seen even a CS who has been snubbed by a senior officer from US because of the conduct, and even the other CS from health, who really in public gallery, I think transferred or sacked the OCS. Threatened OCS. It tells you even they don't even understand well their mandate. Yeah. So I think yesterday's president utterances were an eye-opener of what is happening behind the scene. Something must be done quickly. Sure. If he doesn't do that, he's not going to achieve his agenda.
And we are very certain that President Ruto is not a hands-off person. And soon and very soon, he will call those people out. You heard Gachagua say, Nini, I will call you somewhere. You know, like sometimes you don't again castigate all your staff in public. There are what we call in-house cleaning that may actually be done. And some of these people are being called out. You know, sometimes we used to say that cabinet secretary should not play politics. But some of these, even some of them here, they have gone a notch higher. When the president is in their backyard area, they start playing politics. They start attacking Raila. They start talking about sijui nani, Azimio nini nini masufuria. That is not their work. we have had issues of, for example, that PSs are coming to overshadow the CSS. So that you find that even right now, you cannot just be able to go, don't overshadow your master.
Waweza kusimama kwa miguu yako sasa. Utanilinda, utanilinda na mabaya yote, utanilinda nitokapo na niingiapo, utanilinda nitokapo na niingia, sasa na milele. Turudia maneno haya tena. Bwana ni mlinzi, Bwana ni mlinzi wangu.
We apologize for that short technical hitch, but you're right back and you're still watching us right here on the Mid-Morning Pack. We are still delving into this particular subject of incompetent state officers or state officials, this being occasioned by the President's Riot Act. To those who are incompetent in his government, I think is very, very ready to take some of these incompetent officials or state officials home. We are waiting to see. And we are having a guest in this particular program helping us to navigate through this particular subject. That is Bwana Ben Macharia. Of course, Kagi, my colleague, is also here. There is a question that Kagi had pointed out, and Bwana Macharia were trying to explain something on it. And even as you try to explain on that, maybe one of the things that, again, most Kenyans would actually be wondering, or actually even asking themselves, because now this is 1 year down the line, and you're hearing the president saying this. Does it necessarily mean that there is some work that should have been done by these officials, like the CSS, but has not been done? And that is why the president is very, very angry. And how did it affect even the normal programming of his development program?
That's why it's called an evaluation. You cannot do evaluation after 1 week, 2 weeks, or something like that. You give people also time. In a humanly environment where you don't coerce people to operate, where people operate working on what we call terms of reference. So that by the time you are given an opportunity to work as a CS or as a PS, as a director, you are able to do, for example, you cannot just be able to plan this month and do the, again, there are also government bureaucracies. But by that time you are coming to reach to a point whereby the president can look at that inefficiency. He has evaluated all those, that you have been given the opportunity, we have facilitated you the funds for you to do the recurrent expenditure, we have given you money for you to operate and implement projects, but still you are lagging behind. Maybe this president is not just a person who will say, ati we nilikupatia wizara, saidia wakulima. No, because when he goes down there during campaigns and all that, he will meet the same wakulima. So the president has to be on top of things. And I like his mentality, because we have had a situation whereby sometimes there are people who are hands off. Even governors at the counties, they are hands off. They don't care. They just go to council of governor meeting and apotea 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. While their officers on the ground are clueless about what needs to be done in their departments. So the president must call these people out so that even when they come home, we will tell them, we have heard your boss is saying, you are doing a lot of nothing in your department. You either shape in or shape out. Because we cannot be saying it's like an entitlement for people who are inefficient in government. Otherwise, if we institutionalize inefficiencies, tunasema ati ukipewa kazi mpaka ati watu people are telling us, nyamazeni mpatie nafasi rais afanye kazi. Rais hakujipatia kazi. He was given by the people of Kenya. Sure. That's why he's so passionate about these people, telling them, go back to Wanjiko, go back to Atieno Akinyi in Omabe. We want to see you go there and articulate what are these programs, what are the bottlenecks, what are the challenges. He was saying, reach me. You know, initially, even the link between CSS and the president was a very opaque thing. Ministers could not access president, same as PSS. They only access the chief of staff, and that issue ends there. So these things are now coming out. If you are a frustrated waziri, if you have an issue that you feel could have been implemented but you have not been given an opportunity, can you come to me now directly? Even at the counties, I will always relate. There are people, many CECs who don't even see the governor. Like in the last regime, you could see a whole year ends and cabinet only meet twice. You can imagine. And that is a county government. Yes. What do they really do? What programs are they implementing? What
do they report to the chief?
When do they report? And in fact, some of the CECs went home without seeing the governor in a meeting for 2 years. Which means, now what does that tell you? That there are people who have created their own rule and regulation, and they operate. Even these CSS. You just see them here moving on with the government vehicles, with the escort, and you cannot even greet them.
And one of the things that was actually brought into the limelight, and I think most of Kenyans have actually been seeing this, is the issue of most of these officials, actually even the CSS abroad trips. And this is something that maybe even most Kenyans cannot really account for. Okay, of course, when they go, they would want to say that they're going to ensure, maybe even to look for some of the bilateral relations that will actually boost investment in Kenya. But according to what the president and the deputy president was saying is that some of these officials have actually been taking advantage of some of these trips, and it's very expensive for the Kenyan taxpayer.
That is why we are saying, when you want to set off, even MCAs, you remember when we started, the MCAs used to go to Tanzania, Rwanda,
exchange programs.
They are going to learn how to plant maize.
You
can imagine a whole assembly going to Tanzania to know how to plant maize. Are you really serious? You go, people from Kisumu assembly, they go to they go to Tanzania to learn on best method of fishing. Are they fishermen? So you realize there was a lot of confusion, and these people are just creating issues of justifying allowances. Okay. And that is why even these CSs, the way you see them, they also fall in the same category. Maybe they are going on foreign trips to maybe relax.
And we have some gaps in terms of maybe the laws that maybe should govern some of these trips that needs not to be.
That is why through the Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Devolution, and also the Treasury, they were saying by the time somebody jets out, this person must get approval from the 3 departments or even 4. And even the president himself must know that now you are leaving, and these are the objective of the international or Geneva meeting conference. For example, Kenya, we are part of that process. There is a funding of, for example, 120 billion that we must go and give a report. You see, those kind of meetings, they are very important because you are going to justify maybe the water funding. Like, for example, our county, we have funded water from Netherlands. So every year, the Netherlands that works or whatever, something like that, they call the stakeholder. Maybe the MDs for waters, they call the president and the minister. So when they go there, they go to justify, discuss areas of weakness, challenges, and so on and so forth. Those are the important. But you don't say you are going for an international golf match in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and you are a minister, I'm going to see how they play what you call that polo game. Those are some of those things that should be done away with.
But Mashari, I'm wondering, does it mean that these CSs, their word is final, that they could not be able to brief anyone when they were flying out of the country, maybe the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, and also the Deputy President, that there's nowhere they briefed anybody when they were flying out? I think there is more questions than answers there.
What has been happening, there is a procedure for actually telling your boss that you are leaving out. But sometimes what they do, they just send a letter that I'm leaving. And by the time even that letter, do you know there are thousands of letters that come to the attention of the CSs every day? Which means that by the time even the PS is seeing this and this, or even the CS to the president, sometimes nobody knows what is happening. You know, the president is also very busy. He cannot just be waiting for letters to say no or yes. But now they have come up, they have realized this is a gap. It is an emerging issue within this government, that these people are always out. When you want a cabinet meeting, go and see Minister of Land, hayuko, ako ngambo. Amekaa siku ngapi? Wiki mbili. Akirudi, by the time they come, they also say about jet lag, they waste another 1 week. A whole month is gone. So if he goes outside 3 trips, that year is gone already, which means that as Kenyans, we lack the services they need, they will lack the implementation. And that is why even issues of corruption. Some of these people, you cannot even, we have never had any issue. When you go and say something has happened, even corruption and all that, you are branded as anti-government and anti-establishment.
Yeah, because as you've put it, maybe one of the things that maybe Kenyans, when Mashari would actually even be wondering and want maybe to find out is that even as we have so many of these trips by these state officials, some of these cabinet secretaries, it is that maybe when they come back, we're not even told that as a result of this particular trip, these are some of the things that now we expect, these are some of the investment opportunities, these are the people, these are our foreign friends that are going to come into Kenya, this is what we are going to put into place.
That is exactly what we have been lucky. Even at the county level, you find a CEC has gone outside for 3 weeks. When they come, they don't even come with a report. They don't share with anybody. So that becomes a personal trip, but he has used the taxpayers' money. That is why even these CSs, when they go outside, even in other countries, they normally have a press briefing. They say, for example, for the last 2 weeks, Mangicho was in Netherlands, He was able to secure this funding for ABCD, and actually they have signed a memorandum of understanding. So the people of Kenya expect more investment in the water sector. That's what we want.
Yeah, Mangichu, I think one of the most irritating trips that has been happening all through is a visit to Israel, whereby everybody from the county level, from the Minister of Agriculture, they have been moving to Israel to be able to secure more methods of farming in our semi-arid areas. But we have never seen, except for the Garana Kulalu project that is a government project. But those CSs, the ministers, the PSs from the county government, they have been there all through. But not even a single officer who has ever implemented any project from Israel. But they're using a lot of money.
That's why now the debate now has been started that we really need to check these people. If tomorrow now I stand there and say I call out, for example, departmental heads, I call out CSS, I should not be castigated as being anti-government. I should be seen that, for example, by the time I'm reporting or I'm saying that, you know, there is no means for me to reach the president. I can never reach the president. But I can go to the media and say, there is incompetence, there is wastage, there is corruption, there is inefficiency in this department. And even we want to see people being fired, arrested. You know, in other countries, even when you are a minister, you are withdrawn everything when you go against the ideals of a country. So what we are actually expecting is that the president himself will walk the talk. Watch out to scare, just like he did at Kemsa. Just like you see, actually there was one official in one of the departments of the roads in Kera that was very powerful. Those individuals, you can never touch them.
No, actually, I wanted you to actually comment on that particular point, because that one came out strongly when the president was confronting the roads minister, Kipchumba Murkomen, about this particular official who happened to be untouchable and had committed a lot of corruption incidences in that particular ministry. I saw on Kipchumba Murkomen's tweet that for public information, that official is no longer there. But then I was asking myself, and even Kagi, maybe you can touch on this, is that enough? Is that sufficient? How comes if there is this kind of evidence, if there is this kind of information relating to this particular official being corrupt and engaging in malpractices, other than just the official not being in the ministry, why is it that there wouldn't be any other steps, like maybe charges? We see him or her being charged, being taken to the court of law. I mean, at the moment, are we saying she's now just loose in the country?
Actually, what the president was trying to tell us, they are the untouchables in this country. They are there, even at the county level. They have personalized departments that ni kama kwake. So if he says, I'll not pay this, it will not be paid. If you go to the systems of governance, agencies that are supposed, for example, DCI, EACC, they have tentacles. If you go to the judiciary, they have tentacles. You go today, you bring a memorandum of complaint to the DCI. In the next 1 hour, that same Mkora calls you, tells you, Macharia, nimeambiwa vile umeandika.
But what would prevent the DCI, the police, from arresting that individual?
No. What the president was saying, this issue goes deep. It's a chain. So unasikia this lady was buying herself out. That if she's transferred and tells her, no, madam, go home. You have been found culpable of this corruption and this is case. Even now you see where she has frustrated. It is not only a government department. It is even government agencies. EACC arrests her today, by 3:30 she's out. Tomorrow she comes, she goes to the office of the ombudsman. You know, the ombudsman listen to everybody. Then she's given a letter to go on, to work. That's why you see this person, even the president is trying to show some frustration. That this untouchable now, they have now to go. And they are there everywhere. Now, this is a wake-up call that now...
So the best to do to a person like that is to relieve...
No, you know, like this, you know, you cannot just arrest somebody in an office. By the time you are taking, you will come to realize this lady from Kera, she has cases, by the way, maybe by the DCI, by the EACC, but they were unable to take those cases further. But now, since now they know the matter is with the boss, And even the president has actually said it in public. The whole republic knows that lady has stolen millions of money. Some of these people live very, very big lifestyle. You can never imagine. Somebody who came with the governor just the other day, now they are driving vehicles worth 30 million, 40 million, they are building apartments, they are bringing... You know, you want to tell me, where did they get all that money? This is the corruption you are saying.
As you continue on that, I was asking myself as we continue, regarding that, did these public officers, as it has been happening previously, declare their wealth? Has there been any ceremony of such kind of such
Let me tell you, that is just a PR exercise of wealth declaration. I will say on this national TV, because these people have known how to stash their wealth in relatives, colleagues, friends. They have camouflaged. You see even a woman in Sokoni who is just selling vitungu, but she has a bank account worth 30 million. You wonder how, but she's just a proxy. So these Wakoras, they have reinvented ways of hiding their wealth. So that by the time they are declaring the public wealth declaration, they only declare one plot in Pipeline or in Githurai, and then some few, 2 plots in the areas. But these are multi-billionaire, because real lifestyle audit for government officials is not done. That's why you see in Kenya, and again also our own people, we have to blame them. For example, today people see me in TV. When they see me on TV talking, the moment the next 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, they start flooding me my messages. You know, Masharia, umelipwa. This is the mentality of our people. So if you are employed as a CS, they start saying, now you are a CS, kwa nini utusaidi? People come and they pressurize you to be corrupt. Even waziris, now I must speak this, even MCAs, they are not staying in their usual homes. Every day people are outside there. Kuwavamia, mheshimiwa, naenda shule, mheshimiwa, nimelala njaa, sijalipa nyumba. Those are the enablers of corruption. They are enablers of wastage and inefficiency. Because either way, hata ukifanya kazi kama nini, the end game will be, please place something on the table.
Yeah. I have a message here, maybe before Kagi you come in, one Wagakafo saying, Salimia Bwana Masharia sana. He's watching the program, and this is his opinion that the President William Ruto should be reminded that Kenyans complained when he publicized his list of cabinet ministers, which was more of rewards to the political sycophants than qualification to the demand of each ministry. We can't sympathize with him when saying his cabinet seemed to be incompetent on running his government. Yeah. Do you think the president should bear the greatest responsibility? What is happening to his cabinet?
He has to. You can never run away from your responsibility, because he's the one who appointed them. If they now fail, he has to take political responsibility. But as a person who is who knows the bureaucracy of government, he must also understand that even when those people now are going to be placed on the scale, Waziri, why didn't you do this? Maybe they will be able to much further explain. But the responsibility people must take. Even at the county level, we are telling the governors, you cannot just appoint relatives and friends from nowhere. And when they come here, they are underperforming. And when we write letters and you say these people are corrupt, they are stealing public money. They are extorting money from the public in the name of jobs. They are doing all manner of... And then the governor has locked herself in a corner that he doesn't listen. Even the president. Now we have to call the president. That's why by the time the president is saying this, he was just giving a firing shot. And you will see. Maybe in the next 2 months, some people will go away. And this one we must agree.
Heads will begin to roll.
Yeah, they must roll. Otherwise, we cannot continue with the same crying. You know, we cannot cry and act in desperation, and we are a country governed by the rule of law and democracy. We can never allow that. So we must go on making sure they do what they were employed to do.
Maybe Kagi, your question before I wanted us also to touch on the mediation process a little bit, but maybe
just finally to conclude on the matter of corruption. Yesterday there was a proposal from the president to have a one pay bill number to be able to help government to consolidate its finances, which is the custodian is Minister of Finance or Central Bank. But he said there will not be money to steal, only money to deliver the government services or programs. Do you feel he is right on track?
I think we must give credit. where it is due. The president has tried actually to seal loopholes for revenue loss.
Yeah.
This has been the case for government. You see fake printed receipts issued in government offices for payment of services, but that money does not reach the exchequer. That is why you just ask yourself, everybody is paying KRA. Everybody is paying this and this and this. But at the same time, once you have paid, you don't see services, government is broke, they don't have money. Part of him ensuring that taxes are expanding the tax base and actually protecting is like praising that pay bill. This pay bill, let me tell you, since it was launched, it has met a lot of resistance. That's why yesterday he was saying, from today, if I hear there is somebody using some other form of payment in government, they must be arrested by DCI and even EACC. Because this is the only way we must put, even at the judiciary, we must, because judiciary is funded by the exchequer.
Yeah.
All the departments draws money from the consolidated fund. That pay bill, when you pay, they go there, all that money. It is only that it will indicate by the procedure that this money is for payment of each citizen, maybe at KRA or any other department by the government. That means that these people who have been taking money from the sideline, to access that pay bill, it is only the treasury. And because the treasury are the ones who are going to give money, because these people, they normally take money and they use that money at source. And that is where the corruption starts. Because if today you collect 10 million and you say you are doing a repair, it does not follow the correct procedure of procurement and accountability. That is where we lose finances. So the president knows what he's doing. All money must get in one basket so that once it is disbursed, we must understand what is coming, so that even other departments who are doing a lot of nothing and they don't actually bring anything, they will be merged and be placed with others, so that we don't have pilferage and wastage of money. Yeah, they will be exposed, by the way. Because if, for example, that's why you see even the county, for example, let me just use like the county government. What they have done actually, we have had cases, we have seen in media, of people forging stamps and doing all that manner of things. And actually, as a county, Nakuru has lost a lot of revenue. So what they have done, they have digitized approvals. You submit online, it is checked online, and you pay all the fees and charges online, and then it is going to be approved online, and you are issued with a receipt online. And you just go to pick your plan as approved. You understand? Right. So it is limiting the interaction of these officers with these documents and the people who want approvals. That is where corruption begins. So even as at the national level, the president is trying to limit people interaction with finances. That's why we're saying come up with a pay bill, come up with all that, so that we also assist this government in terms of implementing its projects, because there is no money that will come from nowhere, but it's only from us, and as we put all of them in one revenue net.
That's great. Because of time, maybe in the next few minutes, Bwana Macharia, I know this is also a very, very interesting discussion, but of course there has been a lot of opinions. What is your take on the mediation? And maybe this is now the second part, because we had the first bipartisan talks that collapsed, and now we are having now the Azimio side and the Kenya Kwanza side again now meeting under the chairmanship of the former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo. What exactly are we really going to see in terms of the benefits of these talks, if there is any?
First of all, allow me to express this, that first of all, as a country, we over the years, we have developed a system of governance where we all adopted what we call universal suffrage. That means we all of us go to vote. And in that, the majority have their way, but the minority have their say. Having said that, is that every year, every 5 years, we have an election cycle that we go to elections knowing that at the end of the day, these are the seats available for grab. They are for grab. The presidency, MPs, governors, and so on and so forth. What has actually happened even to Kenya, even right now, that's why people are in confusion. Because when we went to the elections, we have also set system for what we call mediation mechanism, and things also to sort what we call disputes. We say if we go to election and the president wins, there is any problem, people might go up to the Supreme Court. That's what they did. And once it has been declared by the Supreme Court, there are issues that actually can nullify an election, like it was done in 2018.
Right.
Then we go for a rerun. But now you see, even years, months after we had finished the election, now again we come and say elections were not fair. That's where now the confusion is coming. That's why even if you ask the modern Kenya there, what exactly do you want the president to talk with the other wing of opposition? They may not explicitly tell you, but they will tell you, si tunataka gharama ya maisha ifanye nini? Iende chini. Having said that, when you are in government, it is your responsibility to deal with the cost of living. It is not a matter of discussion whereby Bwana Mangicho, we all again now go and say, already the finance bill is an act now. Already it is being implemented. What do we go and discuss now? Where we are, there is no money that has been locked in one room that maybe this government has refused to remove. That's why we want that money. In fact, what we have been doing, and this is what we have been doing, politicians, we have been having political conmanship. From MCAs to MPs to governors, they con people, they lie to people, this will happen. But when now it comes to the reality, when you sit on the desk of a governor, you come and realize these things can never happen. Now let me go back to the president. We want the mediation team to come and sit down and discuss. Those issues, areas of discussion, that's what we have been waiting for. When you look at those areas, the other side from the Azimio, they are saying you must do ABCD. The other side of Kenya Kwanza, you have seen the way they are vilifying those and by saying, Nyinyi, what are you trying to tell us? Cost of living, no discussion. You know, you lock those kind of discussion, yes. Which means that even where the Raila is as the head of the Azimio, there is nothing you are going to discuss with the president about the cost of living. What exactly, I ask people, what is it? Is it subsidy you want the president to take? And that's why the president is passionately saying, I cannot go the same route and expect different results. But if there are issues, for example, of electoral reforms, that one we are saying they should be done. For example, how do we elect the IBC officials? Like that. So that even you as an opposition leader, I want even to say, also we jipange kwanza.
So do you think the government side is justified by locking Azimio or by refusing to talk with Azimio on the issue of cost of living?
They are justified in this way. For example, if you are a governor, you are the person in charge of implementing programs, and in fact, you become liable for the finance bill of the county. You see, like now we have a finance bill. Okay. If the governor of Nakuru County, for example, say, this finance bill will not be implemented, that means that nobody should pay licenses, by the way. Yes, that means that nothing will come in the consolidated fund as a county, even as a country. When you are, for example, when we talk about bringing the cost of fuel, just ask me, let's have a debate. How do we bring that cost down? When you invite somebody who's not in government, because at the end of the day, it is the people in government who are going to be accountable. In fact, right now, we should be telling these people what are the measures you are taking to bring down the cost of living. That is why people like us, where we sit, we don't just say like that. We have looked reforms in the coffee sector. You have had the conferences being done there and people coming and removing brokers and the so-called marketers. They sell at 60, but it is sold at 200. How do we link the farmer to the coffee auction? How do we do that is important? Those are the issues, even in the milk sector and all that. Because at a saizi, you see, everybody has planted maize. But why has the cost of going down? Because there are also cartels. You have heard, even it was here in the media, that some people went to the court. They have actually stopped the implementation of the 35% waiver on edible oils. Okay. Who are those? Those are cartels. Because they have imported the oil. Now they are saying, even you as a government, you will not have a say in what? How we sell our things. This is the government now you are seeing now. You don't just look at the government. You look at many players. So even when we go to discuss the cost of living, maybe me personally, I would say, as a Kenyan, that we need now to tell the government exactly, when you say you have imported rice, where is that rice? That cheap. You know they imported so many. You know they imported maize. Why didn't the price of unga came to 100? That means the same cartels who imported maize are still operating in our country. Okay. They need to deal with those cartels. They need not just to tell us that the cost of living, it is not an abstract thing for us to discuss. And that's why, at a Leo, let's tell Kalonzo, go and discuss. And we as Kenyans, we must be very careful that they don't also go there to discuss about positions. And they start also asking, nipe hii, nipatie hii, niwache hii, ndio niwache. Those are the things that Kenyans must be very wary, so that right now I expect the issues of discussion should be on the table. But not about ati tupatie CS watano, tupatie PS wawili, tupatie, those are the things. And again, I also want to see from the Azimio side, for example, if you represent Kenyans truly, let us have what we call an official shadow cabinet. This cabinet will be actually challenging the government cabinet. Why are you implementing issues of sugar import labor and you are actually lying to Kenyans? Because this is what is on the ground and this is what you are saying. This is how you are going to challenge the government, so that they also start knowing that there are people who are following what they are doing and actually challenging them.
So, Bwana Macharia, how do you think therefore Azimio will get into these talks, considering that what really even led to the protest, or what they told us actually, it is that they made them or triggered them actually to even continue with the protests in Mandamano, which were very chaotic and lives were lost, was the issue of cost of living. How do they just abandon this particular issue?
That's why you see, like Mangicho, we are not living in isolation. The world is a global village. It's a global issue. Issues of unemployment, issues of food insecurity, issues of insecurity, even cyber crime and all that. You have seen what is happening. It's a global issue. That is why you see some countries, the measures they are adopting is to protect their countries. And they are talking about stabilizing the dollar, so on and so forth. Which means that as a country, when issues keep changing, as a leader, you will be sent and you will be isolated. You know, immediately when there was this clarion call before we reach Mandamano, people have been changing goalposts from servers. Now it is cost of living. It is now finance bill. Where do you stand? Even as a leader, you must be somebody who is focused and somebody who will say, mimi nimeanza mambo ya unga na nitakufa nayo mpaka dakika ya mwisho. You don't again tomorrow say, let's not talk about unga. Then you go and start talking about shamba and so on and so forth. That is now where the Kenyans are losing trust. Even that's why I'm saying, for the average Kenyan, if you ask them, what do you want Raila Odinga to go and discuss with the president? They will tell you, waongea mambo ya unga. Because they think maybe when they see it, the president will say, can you drop this? Even the president, that is why we have to give the implementation of the finance bill an opportunity.
Okay.
You cannot just go and dictate market prices and already, me, I bought this cup at 200 shillings, you are telling me to sell it at 150. Either tuambiane, let me finish my stock, but any other stock that comes, as a government, I will remove 30 bob so that you also sell at 150, you make 30 shillings. You understand such kind of things. So that we also protect our businesses. Otherwise, today, if the president can issue a moratorium and say, kutoka leo, skari ni 100, you will not see that sugar. Because what will happen, people will hold it. Wewe kama ulinunua skari 500, utauziaje mtu 100? Sio ni hasara unaenda. So we as a country, there are systems that must be put in place. Even these talks, as they are saying, we don't even refuse talks.
And you've touched about positions.
Yes.
And the Kenyans who are worried, or maybe some of them are thinking or anticipating that whatever we saw the president doing yesterday is to create some room for some of those cabinet secretaries from opposition.
Not really, because
are they reading too much?
People are reading too much, and that's why you find that no, they are free to think that way.
How would that be disastrous if they were to be accommodated?
No, you know, like we must have a culture in the country that when I go for elections, there are two outcomes: I either win or lose. But if we go all the time to a negotiated democracy, like people are suggesting, my friend, Kenya will become like a monarchy.
But some of them are saying the president has shown the example by bringing some of the opposition MPs.
That is why, even right now, when you bring people on board, you know, we must come to a realization that we must bring politics of issues, not of communities, and not personal ambitions in these politics. For example, if you have, for example, let me just use, if we take MPs from Nyanza, we take them from Coast, we bring them together. We want to see them start now advocating Bwana President, these are the priority programs for our areas, but we have seen there is a deliberate attempt not to implement them because this and this is happening. Yeah. Because the President, as the President of the Republic of Kenya, has a responsibility of making sure that person in Taita Taveta village, that person in Isebania, they are all feeling the government that is working for them. Otherwise, if we continue saying that every other time we go for elections, there will be negotiation, we should never go for elections. In fact, we should just suspend elections. A few individuals sit in a round table, they decide Kage Prime Minister, Macharia Deputy President, this one and this and this, and then we'll take.
Yeah, but Macharia, as we're speaking right now, it has already become a culture in our country that after every election, we must look for a way to sit down and see how we are going to work together. How do we come out of that cage?
We will come out of that cage when now become an issue-based country. That Mangichu, if we are given a platform to run for governance, let's have the issues of Nakuru the same. So that the people of Nakuru, when you come and say you are going to bring camels in Nakuru, we know you are lying to us. The priority for the people of Nakuru, you come with your idea, agenda, you explain these are the things I want to achieve as a governor. As a president also, you see like some of these parties you see.
Maybe in just a minute, Bwana Macharia, because of time,
what they did, they never had a clear manifesto. And this is what even the president was complaining yesterday, that we have had this issue of conning people. We tell people we are going this way and we are going to do ABCD, but because of personal interest, we shed that. That's why you see even the president said some of the religious leaders have approached him and told him, my friend, I know you have said this, but shed it. But the president is saying, no, this one is for the long haul. I better go for one term and go.
And go. Wow, what a wonderful parting shot for this particular discussion. That's how we bring it to a close for today. We've been looking at the President's Riot Act to incompetent state officials. Quite a candid discussion here with our guest, a political analyst and also a governance expert, Bwana Ben Macharia. Karibu sana, and thank you so much for making time to be with us. We really appreciate your input.
Thank you also for having the national interest by discussing national issues.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Also want to appreciate your dear viewer for having time to follow us on this particular discussion and also for your input. Of course, we'll do it again next week at a time like today's. My name is Mangicho Mola. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Yes, thank you for finding time to catch on us this morning at the Mid-Morning Park. Until next week, God willing, my name is Paul Kagi. I wish you a blessed day ahead.
Asante sana.